we are gonna make our way to Moira, which is a small village, as you can see here, located in the region of Goa in India. And what is there, you wonder? Well, it is Makerspace that we had the chance to meet when we were in Mumbai. Wait, I'm just trying to move forward. What's happening? Give me a second. Sorry, guys. There we go. When we were in Mumbai, we met the Maker Asylum team. And I'm not going to say more. I'm just going to invite Vaibhav so we can start the conversation. Hi, Vaibhav. Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. Thank you so much for this beautiful introduction. Nice to be here.
Yeah, really happy to have you. How are things?
Everything's really nice. We're
Good.
here in Goa and Moira right now, so really excited for this conversation.
Likewise. Can we jump right in and start maybe with a short introduction about yourself? Like, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. So, quick background: I'm a mechanical engineer, and by training, but I've been a carpenter by passion. I've been really into working with wood and all sorts of materials over the years, and now I've sort of become an educator by choice, where we've been doing a lot of programs at Makers Asylum and working with a lot of people to sort of train them and share a lot of our skills. I started Makers Asylum in 2013 in Mumbai in a small little garage for people like myself, artists, designers, engineers, architects, or pretty much anyone who wanted to make their ideas happen. And that's how the story begins.
And actually, you're just bridging to my next question, but because you said you are a mechanical engineer by study, right? Did I get that right? Yeah. So how did you end up as a mechanical engineer opening a makerspace? Where did this idea of creating a makerspace came from?
So I had the opportunity after my studies in school to go to Boston, and I was studying over there at Boston University, working on different projects and learning from a very nice community of uh, professors and peers. And then after that, I started working for a startup which was based out of MIT Media Labs, again in Boston. And over there, when we were at the Media Labs, we had access to all sorts of labs and maker spaces and other spaces where we could really prototype and experiment with pretty much any idea that we had. While I was working for the startup over there, this was a hardware-based company, so we had a hardware component to our device. So this company had a little focus in India, and they wanted to see how this sort of a hardware can be exported to India, and we could look at creating more impact in India, because what we were trying to make are mobile eye diagnostic devices. So that's when I moved to India approximately 10 years back with them to sort of set up this space for iNetra. But what I realized was that there aren't any community spaces or there weren't any maker spaces or any labs in India at that time. Every time we had to prototype something in India, we had to go through service providers or some large companies to be able to just get a simple thing done or get access to a 3D printer, for example, get access to a laser cutter. It was very difficult to do that. And nobody would let you touch their machines. And that was one more thing. Even inside universities where there were labs, you couldn't just go inside the university and get access to the machine without getting multiple levels of permissions by various professors and other people. So Makers Asylum back then in 2013 started as this DIY makerspace as a hub for people like myself and others to pretty much come together, share tools, and have a co-making space of a sort and a co-working space where we could come together, share ideas, build a small community of people who are excited by hardware and technology to share tools and make their ideas happen.
I've heard this story because you also shared it in the book, and I always love it. The fact that you created something that was missing for your journey, but that could benefit other. I find that like really precious. And I wanted to ask you, you said the first iteration of Maker's Asylum was located in Mumbai. May I ask you, I think I've never even asked you this, why Mumbai in the first place, actually?
Mumbai, Actually, Mumbai wasn't a choice that we made, I would say. Mumbai happened to us.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, so the story goes in a way that I moved to Mumbai with iNetra, the same startup, the same. My professor at MIT Media Labs at that time, Professor Ramesh, he asked me to move to Mumbai because he thought that Mumbai is a great hub, and he himself is from Nasik, which is close to Mumbai, to be able to build and create a culture of prototyping this device, which we were. And for a medical device that we were prototyping, we needed to do a lot of clinical trials. So Mumbai became a nice space for that, to be able to do all the clinical trials and the research and the prototyping and testing. However, there was this big lack of makerspaces then, and there wasn't any in the country at back in the day actually. So Makers Asylum became the first initial space, not by maybe choice, but just the fact, coincidence rather, the fact that I was here and I was missing a community like this, and uh, it has a fun story. Our office ceiling had fallen down, so we had
Oh.
this massive accident inside the office. We had this false ceiling that fell down and pretty much
Oh,
broke
wow.
up all our furniture, broke all our tables, broke all our equipment. And then we called up the landlord at Inetra's office to fix everything. He said, I'll fix everything, but I'm not going to buy you new tables and furniture. So I said, okay, no problem. I talked to my team at Inetra and I was like, can I bring some friends? I didn't really have any friends back then, at least in Mumbai, but I just said that, hey, let me bring some friends and we'll get together and build tables instead. Can you fund the materials instead of buying new tables and chairs? They said, sure, why not? So I went on to Facebook, went on to Twitter. I started reaching out to people, being like, hey, would anyone like to spend a weekend with me building furniture? And what was beautiful was six people showed up. Six really
Wow.
amazing people showed up. That was the first day, this DIY little meetup that we created. And we spent the full day making three tables and then celebrated with pizza at the end. And I think
Nice.
that's how Makers Asylum's journey began.
That's a really cool story. And I also, speaking of Mumbai, before we dive into the rest, such a huge city and so busy and crowded. So, what was easy to in the running a makerspace there, but also what was hard in running Makers Asylum there?
So, like you said, let's start with the easy stuff. So, the good thing was the fact that you're in this hustling, bustling city, and also the fact that you're in pretty much the media and the financial capital of the country. The good thing was that if you did something interesting and different, it got recognized as well, I think. People wanted something different at the space. So while we were based in a small little garage when we started, almost just about 200 square feet, people started finding out about us and started reaching us, which was really beautiful to see. And a lot of uh, media and other people also started talking about the kind of work that we were doing. So, which was nice because it got recognition for its work in the beginning. And that was nice because it allowed us to grow and validate that idea in the beginning. However, what was difficult was a place like Mumbai is like Paris or Manhattan when it comes to rent. It's super, super expensive. The density of people is so high, the rent was crazy. Just to be able to have that stress on top of your head every day, every week to be, or every month to be able to make that rent was always very tricky. The other couple of things was we had to constantly keep thinking about revenue models while we were in Mumbai, just thinking about how to make ends meet all the time. Uh, I while I was in Mumbai, I think for about 5 to 6 years of being at Makers Asylum, I mean, I think most of the time I was running around and doing other work than actually doing any
Mm,
making or spending time with the people or following my passion or things that I wanted to do. I didn't really have time to do any of those things when we were in Mumbai. The other thing that was crazy about Mumbai was the travel time. Now,
yeah.
even within one city, and I think you've been to Mumbai, just traveling 3 kilometers, 4 kilometers would take forever, minimum
Yeah.
30 to 40 minutes. You're traveling literally. 10 kilometers a minute, sorry, 1 kilometer in 10 minutes. That's the basic number that I would say, 10 to 20 minutes. And it was very difficult, not just for us to travel, but also for other people coming to the city to be able
Yeah.
to. Uh, so for people from South Bombay to come to Andheri, where we were, it used to be a good almost 2 hour long drive, which is quite a bit
Wow.
of a commitment for people to make to come one way and then go back. So it was very difficult to do that. Um, Now those same people have to just take a 1 hour flight to come to us all the way to Goa, which is easier.
Imagine.
But
It's crazy. It's, that's something that always amazes me when you put the distances we spend in big cities like London, Paris, Mumbai, traveling, put that in the perspective of like going in the countryside or in regions where, if you drive 2 hours, how far does it take you? It's always
yeah,
mind blowing. Um, but actually, it's also again a great bridge to my next question because you just mentioned you guys decided to move to Goa. So for
yeah,
people whose Indian geography is not very accurate, Goa is on the east coast of the no wait
the West
west
Coast.
coast. Sorry,
Yeah.
my geography is questionable. West coast of the country, and it's by the seaside. I've been there again twice. Beautiful region, but it's actually when I was preparing the event, I learned that it is among the fourth least populated region of India. I didn't know, but now I know. So let me ask you first, why Goa? How did it came down to go to Goa? But also, what was the decision process back then for you guys to move from Mumbai to Goa? And when did it happen?
Okay. Wow, that's a lot of questions, but let me sort of try and frame this in the best possible way. So this happened in March 2020, I would say.
Okay.
No, wait. Actually, let me take a step back. This happened in September 2020. Uh, yeah. So it was right in the middle of the pandemic. So the
Mm.
pandemic hit us, and just about in March 2020, all the lockdowns started to happen, and that's when it became very tricky for us as a organization to be able to sustain that time in Mumbai, if you can think about that, right? However, we did start the M19 initiative at that time, which was we were doing a lot of work for COVID relief that sustained our
Mm.
organization and really was able to harness the community of Makers Asylum to work towards, uh, I would say, citizen science related projects or being able to support frontline workers at that time, which sustained us through that time. But still, it did not make sense for Makers Asylum to have this massive 10,000 square foot facility in Mumbai. So just before the pandemic, we had this massive space in Mumbai, almost 10,000 square feet, which we had grown into over the years. We had a space in New Delhi, which was also there. So we had these spaces where the rent was racking up and people were not moving. All the universities as well that used to send us students to be able to come and access our labs and tools for different programs to learn different skills, all of them had to cancel their visits. We had various tie-ups at that time with in some international universities in France and Australia. All the flights got cancelled, so they couldn't be there. So if they couldn't be there physically, so why do we have such a massive space in a city like Mumbai? So we decided that hey, we need to downsize, we need to reduce the size of this space. We don't need such a big space. So how do we do that? And can we
Oh, wait, I think we lost the sound. We don't hear you anymore somehow. Mm, you just got muted. Now you're muted. Ah, wait. No, you're muted. We don't hear you. Ah, yes, now we hear you. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So, so we moved to. So this was going on at that time, and we decided that why don't we just take the plunge, move to a really beautiful place, Goa, uh, and see what is it like over there, because it wasn't completely random because we knew a lot of the creative community in Mumbai had been moving to Goa over the last 10 years. We knew a lot of
Ah,
studios, a lot of designers, a lot of architects had made their way to Goa over the years and had found a beautiful studio for themselves or found spaces for themselves. So we also thought that maybe it is time that we could take that plunge. So
literally, we packed up our bags, packed up all of Makers Asylum into 4 trucks. So very heavy move. We could not come here to recce or find a place, nothing like that. We just moved here, uh, packed up all our furniture, all our tools inside few friends' factories and spaces, studios, and started living outside of Airbnbs or small spaces to try and figure out our next part of our journey here. However, I would like to say this, that what made us stay back and not go back to Mumbai, or what made us stay in Goa, was the creative energy of the space. And
Mm.
also what some of the individuals and the community of Goa has been doing over the years. The community of Goa is amazing. The individuals over here have been doing some magnificent work, uh, in terms of design, in terms of a lot of artists over here, a lot of authors, makers that have been moving down over here and creating that hub. So it's been quite a beautiful, inspiring journey for us. And that's what really made us stay, that we wanted to be a part of this community. And that's why we stayed back.
And then let me ask you, and someone from the audience also just asked, what happened to your community in Mumbai? How did you manage? Did you have to rebuild everything from scratch?
So the good thing about Mumbai and Goa is that Mumbai is less than an hour long flight away. And like I said, a lot of artists and designers had been moving over the years. So what started happening is that a lot a lot of people that weren't even able to make their way to Makers Asylum in Mumbai started to come over here to Goa and visiting us and spending time over here. So now, as a space, it happens to be that when people are traveling, they love to come down and spend time at Makers Asylum in Goa, which is
Mm.
very beautiful as well. And we were able to transform most of our courses and programs that we do in terms of training into hybrid modules, where we are still able to work with the same community in other cities in a virtual format, and then bring them over to Goa for residencies and shorter stints, which they love, and so do we. So it's kind of nice that we're able to bring them. And also, of course, the community in Goa as well, now slowly over the past 3 years, have gotten to know a little bit of our work and have been
Mhm.
coming and visiting the space. We've also set up a small little cafe over here, which is now called the Drill Press Cafe, which allows a lot of new people to easily access the space and come. Yes, you've shown a beautiful photo of the maker market that we hosted some time back. We hosted a little market for all the makers to come and sell their stuff. So a lot of people from the local neighborhoods came down to see, buy stuff, and also come to the cafe. So it's a nice community that's been forming here, I think.
And did you have to change your business model in any way?
Yes, of course we had to be able to make Goa work for us. Like I said, we had to think more in a hybrid format. So
Yeah.
now we've been doing, since the pandemic, we've been doing a lot of programs in a virtual format. So we do a lot of, uh, we've designed kits and um, programs in a virtual way. We built a software, so we're able to work with our community, no matter which country or which part of the country they're in. And then they're able to come down to Goa for smaller week-long residencies and spend time with us over here for the programs. We've also now have a maker in residence program, which allows like uh, people again to come spend longer time, stay with us, live with us in the village, and at the same time be able to create some amazing products in the process.
So it's now been like 2 or 3 years since you opened Makers Asylum in Goa. 3 years almost, or?
3 years, that's right.
What has the experience taught you?
What has the experience taught us? Wow, it's taught us a lot actually. But I mean, taking a little bit from a future question that you sent me as well, uh, over there, is the fact that the quality of conversations and the quality of time that you have in Goa with people is beautiful. I think what's really changed for us is the fact that there is just that a little more time.
Mm.
The fact that our house is 5 minutes walk away. We, I usually cycle down to work in the morning. Hardly need to use a car or any other mode of transportation, which is great. Uh, and that too is a beautiful cycle ride by the river, so it's beautiful to come down to work. And then when you're at the workspace as well, the fact that when people come over here to Goa, they come in a bit more of a vacation or an open mindset, which is beautiful because then they're able to really have quality conversations with you and spend that time with you. So I think what I've really learned in Goa is to slow down a little bit
Yeah.
and really enjoy those beautiful moments as well on a regular day. And that's been definitely some of the key learnings. We have been able to transform the way that we work in the past couple of years, but I think from Goa, I've definitely learned how to pace it a bit.
And if I ask you, because when we talk about it's always a bit difficult for people to understand that Goa is it's more so the region, right? Because you are in Moira, which is a village, if I can call it this way, or what is
That's
it?
right. Goa is a state. It's massive. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you guys are in Moira. So how have you seen Moira change since the opening of Makers Asylum?
Okay. Actually, that's a very interesting question, though. I don't know if it's because of Makers Asylum, but in general, Moira has been growing really, really fast in the past 3 years. So
Nice.
Moira happens to be sort of inland, away from the beaches. So it's about 35 minutes from the beach. It's more east of the beach.
Yeah.
It's always had this community of more residential people living over here. As you can see, it's really green and a beautiful river flowing. The population density is lower. Uh, the fact that you have more long-term people staying over here and lesser of the short-term touristic commercial stuff going on, which is really beautiful because you're able to really build quality relationships around. People are close to you. Everyone knows what's happening in the village. But the good thing is that, uh, and you're also very close to nature. Moira happens to be right next to the bird sanctuary, so we have
Wow.
massive amounts of like over 100 different species of birds that are uh, close to us, which is beautiful. So what I've seen is that in the past 3 years, however, for multiple reasons. One, of course, I think pandemic was a definite accelerator. The second thing would be the fact that there's a beautiful new international airport that's come up in the north, which makes the north more accessible to people. And also, this this area of Moira, Aldona is super gorgeous and beautiful, and has always attracted a lot of authors, artists, makers in the past. Moira has always been known as the crazy village or the nutty village of Goa. It has a lot of stories around that. I can share a few at the end if we have time. Uh, and so it just made perfect sense for the asylum to also be here because it is the nutty village. But
Yeah, from
in
Asylum,
general,
actually, yeah.
yep. So over the years, over the past 3 years, I've seen like a lot of people moving to Goa. There were a lot of people here during the pandemic, taking that space, but a lot of people stayed back because they discovered this side of Goa, I think, and they discovered how beautiful this side of Goa is and the kind of community that is in this side. So I've seen a lot of people staying back, and it's been attracting a very niche community of this. Uh, I think more of an evolved thought process. Uh, People coming down this side, finding homes over here, staying here more long term. Uh, just to give you an example, our neighbor is a photography professor. He's been around the world, done some fantastic work. He's built his home in form of inspired by Gaudi, so it's got this Gaudian
Wow.
architecture going out. And him and his wife is a psychologist and a dream interpreter, and they both live together doing some very beautiful creative work. And then there is a cheese maker in the village who makes a lot of artisanal cheeses now. There is a lot of bakers in the village. There is Rusty Cashews. He's takes old cars, refurbishes them, makes newer designs out of it. Uh,
Wow.
so there are some very different, interesting people doing different things and finding their own sort of alternative professions, which is something that I really like around this side, and that's attracting more and more people. And since then, I think more people have been moving this side, so it's nice.
And if you had one piece of, oh, by the way, I just want to say that in the comment section of event. We posted an Instagram live we did with your team. If people are curious to follow, to show the space, because I think Richa back in the days, she did a tour with the phone. So you guys can watch it if you want to see a bit more of Makers Asylum in Goa. But if you had, Vaibhav, one piece of advice for viewers right now, thinking about opening a makerspace in a smaller town, what would you advise them?
So, running a makerspace is inherently difficult because if you think about it, the user, which is the makers or the artists, always are usually don't really have the funds to support it or to be able to contribute towards the membership and everything. So it is it's important to find partnerships as well in and around the area or outside and see how you can take advantage of your location. So the way that we did that was that we were able to create more hybrid programs. We were still able to bring in people from the big cities or others to support such a space, but at the same time, take advantage of our location because, in a way, the fact that we are in such a beautiful, surreal place, it's amazing for people to come for shorter stints and spend
Mm.
time with us over weeks or a few weeks. And that's what really allows us to sustain and keep growing as a space in such a space. If we were in a bigger city, for example, I mean, of course, our rents would have been higher and everything, and the model would have been completely different. So
Mm.
I think it's important to take advantage of whatever location you are in, see how you can picture it, how you need to position it. That's really important.
And my last question to you is, where do you guys want to put the focus in the coming year or years?
Where do we want to focus? Well,
Mm-hmm.
our focus has always been at the intersection of education. So, because we're always about open education and sharing the maker mindset and helping more young students be able to discover the side, use tools, learn about making, and then keep coming back to continue to use them. And the other side of things that we've been doing is a lot of open research. So, involving our community of makers and artists and engineers into openly doing research more in the area of, I would say, citizen science. Uh, M19 initiative was an example of that. And currently, we're doing a project where we're working with the local community of Goa as well and mapping the water pollution in the rivers of Goa and
Wow.
involving not just the local community of fishermen, but also the maker community to see how we can then take this data and then also work on top of it. And how can we share this information with more people so they're aware about what's happening in the local rivers? Because if you think about it, in Goa alone, like we have so many rivers, and the water quality has been dwindling down every year, and there isn't any data about this. And the fishermen as
Mm.
well are seeing a lot of issues with that. Anything from the fact that the fish in the rivers have changed. A lot of fish, like for example, shellfish used to be in our rivers. It's all gone now because of the
Wow.
lack of calcium. So we want to so we always like to focus on this open research and citizen science side and involve the community in doing such projects with us to be able to use our knowledge for supporting the local community.
Vaibhav, thank you so much for being with us today. I just want to invite everyone watching this now to first check out your website because there is a lot of details about everything you said and very much content driven. As you said, everything is hybrid. So if you guys are interested to join some of the classes or courses of Makers Asylum, please make your way to the website. And also follow Makers Asylum on Instagram and other social media so you can get up to date with everything that's going on. And of course, if anybody has the chance to go to Goa, they should definitely go and see you, which I hope will be our case very soon.
Thank you. We really look forward to having you over. Please come and
Yeah,
spend some time with us, Pauline,
yeah, we really want to. We
everyone.
are big Indian lovers and we love Goa as well. So I can't wait to return.
Amazing. Would love to host you
Thanks.
over and show you around our side of the village.
Yes. Thanks so much again for your time, Vaibath, and see you very soon.
Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye bye.
Have a nice day.
Thank you for
Bye.
having me again.
My pleasure always. All right.